man, his season has been on fire. And I have to say this. I want to give credit where credit is due. Listening to Paul O'Neill and David Cohen last night talking about Corey Kluber and setting up pitches and pitching, certain ways to like Teoscar Hernandez and stuff like that. I thought it was great television. I thought it was absolutely great television. And those guys did a great job. And David from the pitcher's perspective, Paul from the hitter's perspective. And, we always give the kudos to Keith and Ronnie. I just haven't been watching them because I don't really care right now.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they're still doing a good job and doing, probably very entertaining. But last night, their breakdown of the way Corey Kluber was pitching, I thought it was spot on. I thought it was great. It was great television, and I learned a lot.
Oh, you did?
For a guy that thinks that he knows everything and acts like he does, I have to tell you, I learned a lot last night just listening to those guys. And and they do this all the time. They're just like Ronnie and Keith. But last night, for whatever reason, it struck me as like really an interesting conversation about setting up pitches and using a curveball and then kind of relating it back to the night before with Garrett Cole. So it was really good television. So I really like that. And the fact that Judge is doing what he's doing.
You called it, man. You said this is the time as they were heading into these series against Boston, Toronto, and Tampa. You said enough with this pussyfooting around from these superstars. This is what we need. We need them to carry the team. You need Stanton. You need Judge. I mean, this is why they are who they are, and this is exactly what you've gotten. And sometimes it's as simple as that, Boomer. Sometimes it's as simple as your best players stepping up in the biggest moments and carrying your team.
Remember yesterday morning I was saying, they're going to need to play Stanton in left field. And I know it's turf, and I know everybody worries about it. Even he makes a nice play in left field. He's a real baseball player.
He is.
And, ever since they used him in the outfield, and I think we all feel this way. I'm not saying anything that somebody else hasn't said or hasn't written or hasn't talked about. We talked about it incessantly for 6 weeks now. I mean, he needs to play. Now, I'm not saying he needs to play every day, but the more you put him in the outfield, the better he's overall going to be. He's going to feel like he's a real baseball player, not just a fat guy sitting on the bench and getting up and hitting.
He's not.
Well,
bad.
He's not a fat guy, but he's not. He's a baseball player, and the same thing can be said about all of a sudden Torres is now playing better baseball than he has all year long.
Yeah,
because he's now more of. I guess he's at his natural position. It's not nearly as pressurized as playing shortstop. And then Urshela has been making plays from his ass.
Yeah.
The other night, the throw that he makes and play that he makes at shortstop is ridiculous. So I kind of think that things are coming together for the Yanks. They have everything going right now. They got their bullpen is great. They're getting timely hitting. They're getting the home runs that that they want, that the analytics geeks want. And it's just to me, I don't know. It's all coming together at the right time for them. And they had to win 2 out of 3 in this series.
Yes.
They just had to win 2 out of 3 in this series, and they did.
That's what you wanted from them. That's what they did, and they are knocking right on that door. And then, I tell you, for whatever reason, after watching this game, I was tossing and turning. I couldn't get to sleep. I was just thinking about the playoffs and everything else and getting tickets and the whole thing and like wanting to be a part of it because there's nothing positive in New York sports outside of the Yankees. So I'm just going to maximize the hell out of it. So
why wouldn't we, and why wouldn't the station? But
of course.
Obviously they're going to have to play a win and in game. Here.
Again, that's what
and that's the scary part of it because it's only one game. It's not a 7-game series.
Yeah.
And it's going to come down.
I went to the one a couple years ago against the A's in 2019, and like you walked into that building, they weren't losing that game.
Well,
they weren't losing that game.
I would think that given where they are now, if they take one more game, from Toronto, most likely they'll have the 1 seed. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, maybe it was 2018 against the. Maybe it was 2018 against the A's.
And it'll be interesting because they'll hold back Cole then and they'll start game most likely.
You said how everything is going for them
except for him.
He's the thing that's not.
Yeah. He's the one thing, but there's always one thing or two things. But he's the one right now that's a little off. He finally settled down after the second inning for sure the other night, but he is not the dominant pitcher right now that we have seen for most of the season. And he understands that. He has said that. But then again, just like Giancarlo has gone up and down since he's been here, but this year has been his best year by far as a Yankee. And he's done that because I think he's been out in the field. So this was a huge win for them last night. And, man, that sixth inning was really impressive. Really impressive, especially as you said, a guy that's in a running for the Cy Young.
Well, I mean, and he had – so it's 2-1 Blue Jays. He had retired 12 in a row. And you thought, is this going to be the night where they go down meekly? Is this going to be it? And they're going to be limping into this final series? No. I mean, it was the exact opposite of that. You know, when Aaron Judge, that first home run being as mammoth as it was, even though the Blue Jays came back and ended up taking the lead, I mean, that to me right there signified, we're not effing around. We're not effing around
He's
today.
also playing with the bad pinky.
Yeah, no, I know, but that, bad pinky Aaron Judge is like the best version of him. I mean, he's got how many home runs with bad pinky? 3 home runs, or maybe even more than that. Maybe 5 home runs with the bad pinky. It's crazy,
right? It was amazing how they were teeing off in the 6th inning. They were all right on it for whatever reason. They were right on it from Rizzo to Judge to Torres, and Torres's home run was great to see too because it was up in the zone, and he was like right on it. I mean, like just totally saw the ball and just ripped away with a swing.
Rizzo needed that too, by the way.
You know how sometimes these guys, they'll rip away the swing and they'll miss the ball.
Yeah.
And, it's like frustrating and everything, and they're swinging for the fences. Well, that was not the case with Torres last night in the 6th inning. That ball was a little bit up, and he just absolutely smacked the crap out of it. Straight away center field, and he knew it as soon as he hit it. That's got to be a great feeling for those guys. It's almost like, for me as a quarterback, it was like you call a play, you know that the defense is going to be in a certain defense, and you run that play, and you hit your guy in stride, and the guy runs for a touchdown. It is like the most amazing feeling for a quarterback. Knowing that your play caller called the right play, we designed the right play, we knew what the defense was doing, we called the play, we blocked it up, and boom, you hit the guy right in stride for a touchdown. There's nothing like it, and I'm sure it's very similar to when these guys hit a home run. They know it the moment that it hits the bat, or it leaves the bat, that it's going to go over the fence and that they're going to be able to jog around the bases.
Yeah, they always say you make that flush contact, it doesn't even feel like you're hitting the ball.
Flush contact.
The flush contact.
I haven't heard about flush contact before, but now I've learned something else this morning. And by the way, we were talking a little bit yesterday because I do love football still about this game last night.
Yeah.
And buzz, no buzz, no buzz, no buzz. Going back and forth and hitting the previous channel was pretty easy last night because it seemed like the games were synced up for some reason. Like when the football game was in a commercial, the baseball game was being played. When the baseball game was in a commercial, the football game was being played.
It worked out nicely.
But I will tell you, I didn't get a lot of sleep last night.
Same here.
And those 2 young quarterbacks are great. The good news for the Jaguars, even though they're 0-4 and Urban Meyer's never been 0-4, and now Trevor Lawrence has lost more games in the first 4 weeks in the NFL season than he has his entire career prior to becoming an NFL player.
Well, he looked great last night.
You could see that now he's getting better.
Yeah, they should have won that game. I mean, that to me is I don't want to say devastating loss because nobody really expected much out of them this year. That was a bad loss for them.
They're playing. They look good, and DJ. They
look better. Yeah.
By the way, DJ Chalker's out for the rest of the year. He broke his ankle, so
that's horrible. That's a huge weapon for them.
Right. But the thing about it is that they kept this Trevor Lawrence. They kept his throw to a minimum on the road. 24 attempts, 17 completions. You could see the athleticism.
He was getting rid of the ball.
You could see how fast he is. You can see how big he is. He's about the same size, maybe a little bit smaller right now than Justin Herbert, but he'll get bigger, this offseason. And then Joe Burrow is fully healed and back, and they finally got their guy since.
I was just thinking about Zach
Joe
Wilson.
Barrow?
Joe Barrow?
Yes.
All I could think about was Zach Wilson all last night.
So this is my point. This is what you want to see. Like if you're a Jaguar fan, you're sick. You're sick that you lost. It's a game you probably feel like you should have won. Especially, you had 4th and 1 at the end of the second quarter, and you're down on the goal line.
Oh yeah, it was 4th and inches on the goal line,
and they didn't make it.
Yeah.
So I know for all those, you got to go for it, people. This is what happens when you don't go for it because it shifts the momentum, is what it does, and and I'm not saying that they should have settled for a field goal.
If I were the coach, run Trevor Lawrence in that situation.
But he's a 6'6",
I know, but it
quarterback.
didn't even look like a sneak. It was more like a.
And Tom Brady knows how to do it. There's a little technique that you have to do it. Tom Brady's good at it. Ben Roethlisberger used to be good at it. I don't know if he's good at it or not. I'd have to look at the end zone film. But there are things that you can do, or you could check out of the play if they're jamming up those A gaps, which the Bengals were doing last night. But So that's where the momentum shifts. And the Bengals looked flat in the first half. And you're thinking, did they win their Super Bowl last week when they played the Pittsburgh Steelers? Did they win their Super Bowl?
Well, I guess not.
And then they come out in the second half, and all 4 possessions ended up turning out to be 3 scores and the game-winning field goal, which means, we are starting this NFL week off just like we ended last NFL week. Last NFL week, I think we had 5 game-winning kicks, including the 66-yarder by Justin Tucker. And then Evan McPherson, the guy that they drafted out of Florida, misses the first one earlier in the night, but then makes this one for the game winner. It's just exciting to see 2 young quarterbacks play as well as they did. And Joe Burrow, his second half, 17 of, I think, 20 or 21. I mean, he was money last night. And this is the kid that, we saw at LSU, and he's fully healthy, and he's back. And they got a chance in every game as long as he stays upright.
Yeah, for the love of God, please, Zach Wilson, give us one of those games that Trevor Lawrence had last night where he played really well. You had the lead. Even if you lose it, just show us something sooner than later. It'd be nice if it were this week. But show us something. Get out, a couple of touchdowns, get the team out, third down conversion, push the ball down the field a little accuracy, get the ball out quicker.
Don't turn it over.
Yeah, I mean,
that's the thing.
That's all you're asking for. But it's pathetic, the standard that we're asking for from the Jets. Like even if you lose, just show us something. But that's where we're at.
It's either 2 or 3 of his interceptions have gone off the hands of the intended receiver he's throwing it to. Now, I think his arm's a little bit stronger than we realize, because a couple of those balls, they were down the field. The one in Denver was down the field a little bit. The one against New England was on the right sideline. That's the one that went through Corey Davis's hands. Forget the guy whose hands it went through this past weekend. But they were balls that should have been caught. Well, but he also probably has to take a little off.
Well, he's thrown the fastest football this year.
Yeah, I know.
Analytically.
I know that, but that's the point. Like, he's got to learn. His heart rate's going 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
It's okay to just take a little off. It's called touch. Mm-hmm. And so he's playing nervous football is what he's playing. And if you watched last night, you see both of those guys. I mean, they were relaxed. They were poised. And Trevor's a really, really good athlete. But Joe Burrow can run too. I mean, he's a great athlete as well.
Hear from any of your buddies with the Bengals Ring of Honor last night?
No, I did not yet. But I heard it went off really well. I had a buddy at the game, and they texted me and said it really went well. And the Bengal fans finally appreciated it.
Good.
They appreciated their history because they do have it's a rich history.
It is a
include
rich history.
A lot of Super Bowls, but there are 2 Super Bowls in there. But there are a lot of really terrific players that have come through there. So it's nice that the Bengals are actually finally remembering the players that set the foundation for the franchise.
Absolutely, and we'll be there for you next year.
Yeah, okay.
We will.
Yeah.
It's a bit of Thursday night. We got to set it up. CBS Sports Network, do the show from Cincinnati the next morning, but we will be there next year.
Yeah, okay.
You're going to be inducted next year.
But listen, why do you have to put me in a situation like this?
Well, I mean, I'm not really. The Bengals are putting you in a situation because they had a Ring of Honor and they didn't put you in the first year.
You are so putting me in such a situation.
They'll put you in this year.
Listen,
they might have been upset you didn't go to the first one, so maybe they'll make you wait a year.
Jesus God. Why don't you guys, you know what? You guys need to talk about this amongst yourselves and not talk about it with me.
Yeah, we have. No, but we'll be there for you. We want to support you.
Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the red bell so you're notified when we have new content.